Hola, soy yo Vicky otra vez, and in today's video I'm going to give you a mnemonic which hopefully will help you with your ser and estar problems, which of course are an ongoing problem. So basically we've got two words for ser. If you think of Coppprinct, but with 3 P's. So, this actually is in Break the Language Barrier Level 4 on page 21, though it is in some of the other Break the Language Barrier books also. So, if you want to actually see it written down, and of course all the Break the Language Barrier books are available on Amazon or through my website. Sorry if I keep boring you saying that, but it's just to let people know who don't know that. So yeah, for thinking of ser, if we think of Coppprinct with 3 P's, so that's Coppprinct, Coppprinct. So if we go through the letters and I'll tell you which one it applies to. So the C is for colours. So natural colours, the natural colour of anything, we always use ser. So the car is red, the sky is blue, bananas are yellow. The O, the next letter, or O, of course in Spanish, is origin. So we use ser when we're talking about where things come from. So, yo soy de Manchester. I am from Manchester. That's my origin. But it's not only people, it's things as well. If you were saying, esta mesa es de España. This table is from Spain. Or the shop it was from, which I don't remember actually the name, those sort of things. So, any origin, we would use ser. So that's the O in Coppprinct. Profession. So profession is one of those exceptions from the permanent and temporary rule. If it's your profession, obviously is not permanent, but you would always use ser and not estar. The next P, because of course we've got 3 P's, the next one is possession. So anything you're talking about that belongs to you or to someone else. So it's my house, es mi casa. He is my cousin, es mi primo. These are possession examples where we would always use ser. Then the next P goes with the R, personal relationships. So he is my husband, she is my sister, they are my friends. These would all use ser. Son mis amigos, even though they might not always be your friends. So again, another exception to the permanent temporary, well, it's not a rule, but a lot of people think of it as permanent and temporary. And unfortunately, although that works often, it doesn't always work. Then we have identity for the I. So, soy Vicky, who I am. He is one, es one. Yeah, so we would always use the verb ser to talk about identity. Same with nationality. Soy inglesa. Él es español. Or ellos son suecos. They are Swedish. So any nationality would be ser, and that's the N. And then the next C in the Coppprinct is characteristics. So what do we mean by characteristics? Well, basically, that is either what someone or something looks like or what kind of person they are. So qualities, characteristics, not how they're feeling, because that would be estar. Only what they are actually like. So, yo soy rubia. La mesa es grande, for example. And then time. So anytime we're talking about time in the sense of clock time, when we do something, what day it is, what month it is, when something is, we would always use ser. So prime example is talking about the time. Son las 4. It is 4 o'clock. But also if you're saying when is the class, cuando es la clase. So anything that's to do with time or when something is would be ser as well. So there's ser. Coppprinct with 3 P's. Yeah. C for colours, O for origin, P for profession, another P for possession, PR for personal relationships, I for identity, N for nationality, C for characteristics, and T for time. Okay, so that's when we use ser. So to use estar, well, of course, you could think that anything else use estar, but a way of remembering estar, you could use the mnemonic Flommets, which is Flommets. So the first letter, the F, for feelings, so the way we feel. Estoy feliz, estoy cansada, estoy triste, etc., etc. And then the L and the O is the start of location. Yeah, location is the one thing that has no exceptions whatsoever. Whenever you're talking about where someone or something is, you're always going to be using estar. Estoy en San Miguel de Salinas. Madrid está en España, etc., etc. So location is a nice criteria that has no exceptions. Moods, yeah, that comes under the feelings really. So the way, if you're angry, estoy enfadada, or estoy triste, as I mentioned earlier, I am sad. So anything is about the way you're feeling or the mood that you're in, you would use estar. Marital status. This is a strange one because people quite often say, oh, you know, why is it not permanent? Well, I think it's because you're not born that way. So you're not born married or divorced or single, etc. So sometimes you can think of it that way. So you would say estoy cansado, that's tired, very similar to married, which is casado or casada for a woman, or Maria está divorciada, yeah, divorce, single, etc. Then we've got emotions, which again very similar to the feelings and the moods, the sad, happy, tired, angry, etc. We would always use estar. And then the T and S at the end, temporary states. A temporary state is something that's not the way you are or the way something is all the time. It's the way it is in the moment. Open, closed, clean, dirty. It fits in with the happy or sad. Now be aware that it depends how you're describing something. For example, if you're saying someone is a happy person, as a characteristic that they are generally happy, you would use ser. When we use estar is when we're saying they're happy in this moment. You know, there might normally be quite a miserable person, but you're saying, oh, you know, Juan está feliz hoy. You know, Juan is happy today. It's almost like you're surprised. But if you're saying Juan is a happy person in general, you would say Juan es feliz. Yeah. Another temporary state, and it's a good example actually, because if somebody is drunk, you would say está borracho or borracha for a woman, and that is somebody who's just drunk, you know, it's maybe at a party or etc. Not a normal state of affairs basically. But if somebody is a drunk, in other words, someone who is always drunk, then yes, you would use ser for that, and you would say es un borracho. He is a drunk, because that is different from being in the state of being drunk. I hope that's made it a little bit clearer. So really, to me, the basic difference between ser and estar in those types of things, is you're thinking about, are you saying this person or this place or this object is always that way? That's what a characteristic is. It's a characteristic of the person or the thing, and that would always be ser. Or are you saying that that's the state that it's in at this moment, but it's not necessarily how it always is, and that would be estar. Okay, so that's estar, Flommets, feelings, location, moods, marital status, emotions, and temporary states. Okay, so as you go along with Spanish, the ser and estar is a continuing theme throughout Spanish. As I carry on with these videos and I start going into past tenses, future tenses, etc., I always do an exercise on ser and estar, because even sometimes people get the hang of it in the present tense and they start to think, oh, because in the end it does start to just feel right to use one or the other, and you just start to understand it better. But what tends to happen, unfortunately, is then when we go into different tenses, like going to the past tense, it all gets confused again because we've got too much else to think about as well. So my advice there is always, if you've got a sentence that you're trying to translate in the past tense or think of in the past tense, you're not sure if it's ser or estar, think of it in the present tense, and you'll probably find it's much easier to think. So for example, if you were trying to say, I was married, yeah, you think, oh, how much? You've got all these different ways of saying was as well. Whereas if you think I am married, and that comes on quite clearly under the marital status, you know, estoy casada. So when you go into the past tense and you want to, you know, to use estar, and it would either be estuve casada or estaba casada, because of course, you know, it depends which past tense you're having to use. So there's a lot of things to think about, but that's just if you're a beginner and you're watching this, don't worry about that just yet. Just concentrate on the present tense first. In my opinion, you have to understand the present tense and the way verbs work before you can go into past and future tenses, etc. That is fundamental to understand the present tense and the verbs. Really, for Spanish is all about verbs. You know, quite often people will say, oh, you know, I don't want to learn all those verbs, I just want conversation. Well, I would say, how are you going to have a conversation without a verb? Every sentence you speak has got at least one verb in it. So the problem is that when we're speaking in English, we don't have to think about it. Our brain's a computer, it just throws out what we want to say. People have even said to me, oh, we don't have all those tenses in English. Because, of course we do. We have all the same tenses, we have all the same grammar. But in English we don't have to think about it if that's our maternal language. As I think I've said in previous videos, if you've already learnt a language, it does give you an advantage because you already probably understand a little bit about grammar. Don't be frightened of grammar. It's not throughout these videos, as I'm explaining things to you, I will explain it as simply as possible, and I will always explain it in English first so that you understand what you're saying in English before you try and put it into Spanish. And as time goes on, you don't need to do that so much, but certainly from the beginning you do need to do that. Okay, ya está. So that is Coppprinct and Flommets, the times we use ser, Coppprinct, the times we use Estar, Flommets. If you've got any queries or anything else you'd like addressed in one of these YouTube videos, please let me know. If you found the video useful, please press the thumbs up. And if you'd like to be notified of new videos coming out, press subscribe, and then you'll get instant notification when a new video comes out. As I say, I'm sort of working my way through my series of books, but if at any time there's anything else you'd like me to explain in between, I'll be happy to do that. Vale, okay, keep practicing. Y está. Adiós.